imagine something. You are in the middle of running your business, deadlines stacked, clients calling relentlessly, and your mind is racing to tomorrow. Now, pause. What if in this very moment, instead of pushing harder, the smartest business move you could make was to stop, breathe, and take care of yourself first? Um, you wouldn't believe it, right? Maybe you're not believing it right now. They're thinking, what a frivolous point she's mentioning. Well, listeners, we often celebrate this hustle, long hours, endless growth strategies, but rarely do we talk about the cost. Our guest today knows that cost very well. From building and losing businesses to taking on extreme adventures like ice freediving, he has lived through the highs and the crashes. And he's here to share why self care and meditation aren't luxuries, but survival strategies for entrepreneurs. So settle in as if you're right here with us, listening live. This conversation might just shift how you see success, stress, and sustainability in business. And listeners, meet my incredible guest, Roy Castleman. So, Roy, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah, what a lovely intro there. I love that. And yeah, just so important for us to realize that we are beings that exist here for a very good reason to experience things. And that doesn't mean we have to experience the stress.
That is true. That is absolutely true. Um, and I think the best part here is to realize that entrepreneurs do have a choice in there. It's not a liability, or they have to sacrifice themselves or their health, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical health, at the cost of their business. So I think that's a very hopeful beginning in there. So with that, Roy, let's talk about your huge wins and hard losses in business. Um, I'm really curious to know. I'm very sure our listeners they are as well. When did it first hit you that taking care of your mind and body it wasn't optional, it was essential?
You know, I have this very, well, 30 years worth of experience running companies. And I've always been that entrepreneur that goes, eventually, yeah, doing the 14-hour days, the 7 days a week. And when everything's going well, that's okay. But during COVID, I bought an adventure center. Or before COVID, I bought an adventure center. And this adventure center, yeah, it had all the things I loved. It had indoor skydiving and surfing. Yeah, it had a hotel and a gym and a swimming pool and a whole range of other things. And we got this just before COVID. A group of us got together, got this company, and I put all my life savings into it. I took loans out, and this was just gonna be the best thing in the world. And
Mhm.
as we went through COVID, yeah, I worked so hard to make it work, right. We were doing all sorts of things, and, yeah, at some point, there is this piece of you that has to let go, right? And it took me right to the edge. Yeah, I ended up in in the hospital with a burst colon, just from stress. Yeah, and I came out of the hospital, and got told that I needed 50,000 pounds the next day for salaries, or we couldn't actually make the salary payment. And, yeah, this just pushed me over the edge. Now, luckily, I'd been doing a lot of Wim Hof and various other things, yeah, just and that kept me topped up, as it were. But this just pushed me over the edge, and we had a 130-foot tower, and 4 in the morning, walked outside, and I still remember it was quite a warm and clammy morning in the UK, and climbed up the 130-foot tower and sat in the top, and I was getting ready to jump off, and that was it. I was done. I couldn't do it anymore, right? And And as I sat there, I just remembered that I'd been doing the Wim Hof breathing, and I thought maybe I'll just do a few rounds of breathing. And I did this breathing and realized actually, I can survive one more day. I can go a little bit further. And
Mm.
that brought me down. And actually came down, and that same day I went up and signed up as a Wim Hof instructor. So I went to go and do that course because I realized how very important mental health is, and what we need to understand in our own bodies and our own minds. It just is so much more powerful if you can actually do this in the correct way.
Wow, wow, Roy. That's that's quite a journey. That's quite a journey in there. And I really, really appreciate that you shared it with so much honesty and courage and vulnerability at the same time, which I think, sometimes not only entrepreneurs, as humans, we feel kind of very hesitated or shy or anxious to share not only our highs but our lows as well. Um, and I think as so many of our listeners, they're also kind of very much connecting with it because we often only realize self-care, not the fluffy one which we often see in media. Self-care is vital when it's already too late. And your story, it makes it very real, not just theory. So thank you once again for sharing.
My pleasure. I think you're right there. I think that as we go through our journey as entrepreneurs, we're going through ups and downs and highs and lows. And I like to say that we only have so much energy for any given day. And we have a pot of energy that we wake up with. And so often we're looking backwards and we're regretting things that we haven't done, or we have done, or things we've not done the correct way. And we're looking forwards, and worrying about the next big problem. And we forget to live in the moment. We forget to live now. And if you're looking backwards, you're giving 30% of your energy today to yesterday. And if you're looking forward, you're giving 30% of your energy to tomorrow. And then you only have the remaining 40% left, and you can't be as efficient and effective. So what if, just what if you could wake up in the morning? My routine is I wake up in the morning, I do some breath work. I do 20 minutes of breath work. I then do 20 minutes of meditation, and then go downstairs. I've got in my garage, I have a little mini gym and a sauna and an ice bath. I go downstairs and I do my routine, get the sweat on, jump in the sauna, then jump in the ice bath. What if you could give yourself 20% more energy every day? And more importantly, you could flush out the emotions from yesterday so that you actually sit in a place of being present and in the present moment. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it will be. It will be. And I think uh, few of our listeners, they may think, oh no, it's it would be a privilege for me. I don't have anything accessible. Uh, so and I think for everyone, self care, healing, or bringing in presence and mindfulness in there, it is a unique journey for everyone. It's not a one size fits all. So I think that's the beauty in there.
I think you're right. I think you mentioned that people don't feel they have access to these things. Yeah, the breath work is free. Yeah, you can get up and you can do breath work, and it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, the cold exposure you can do in your shower, right? You don't have to. Yeah, and the PT that I do, the physical that I do, is literally body weight stuff. So these things they can be free. What we don't see as free is time. Yeah, we get up and straight away we're on our phone. We're looking at messages that came in overnight. We're looking at all these things, and I think the thing to understand here is that you know if you are running at 100% or close to 100%, you can get so much more done in a short amount of time. And this really is the power of actually owning your morning, right? And owning your mental and physical health. Yeah, you can get up and you can be more efficient. Yeah, if you can be 20% more efficient every day because you've spent 45 minutes or an hour in your morning, that really makes your whole week, yeah, it compounds day on day on day. So it gives you this yeah, superpower of being an entrepreneur who, and we're all a little bit ADHD and we're all doing 10 things at once, and yeah, but it
Yeah,
just gives you the clarity to do the day much more effectively.
yeah, yeah. Right, you're right. And Roy, some would argue that meditation and wellness they are just nice to haves for those who can afford the time. So isn't it a bit unrealistic for um, a founder or an entrepreneur juggling payroll, staff, and growth to focus on meditation first?
I think it's entirely the opposite, right? If you don't look after yourself, you cannot be in a situation where you give the best to your staff, to your customers, to your family. You just can't. Yeah, if you're, they talk about the glass half full and running on empty and all of these things that we know. And there's such a truth in that. There really is such a truth in that. I got to a stage where I was so depressed and so down and so, I'm unsure of what I was doing, that I was effectively doing hardly anything during the day. Yeah, I just wasn't being productive at all. Yeah, and I got to this burnout stage, and eventually I had to let go of this adventure center. I had to say, "That's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore." And when I let go, there was such a relief that came on. I called my mom up and I said, "Look, I probably have to come and live with you. I'm going to go bankrupt." I don't know what I'll do, but I'll start again. And when I actually said to myself, okay, I'm done, that gave me a huge amount of relief. And that gave me enough power to go step by step by step into the day. And now, now that I do my morning routine, now that I mean, I focus on this with the people that I coach. Yeah, before anything, what the biggest problem that we have as entrepreneurs is we don't have enough time, right? Yeah, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. The second biggest is we don't have clarity on our vision and clarity of where we're going. So I focus on that with my clients first. I'm like, okay, let's give you some time back. Let's use AI in a much different way than the world's using AI at the moment. Yeah, and let's use it. Yeah, first of all, to brain dump all the things in the morning that are filling your mind up. Let's use it in ways that work for your company and your position to get you some time back. And if I can literally get you a couple of hours back, in a week, or even an hour a day, I will work with you, but only if you spend that time, working on yourself, making yourself as strong as you can be. Because once you're energized, once you're mentally strong, once you're physically strong, then we can look at growing and scaling your company. Because without that, you're just working, totally in the sympathetic mode. We talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic mode, and the sympathetic mode being fight and flight. Yeah, and you can't create and you can't innovate and you can't be your best self if you're always in fight or flight. You need to get to the parasympathetic mode. You need to get to the calm, the growing stage.
Mm, yeah, and I think the 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 best part here is that it's just not backed by um um the people who are doing it, but it's also backed by science, studies, researches, um, and I think that's where it becomes more and more kind of acceptable in there that meditation or mindfulness, stillness, they're not luxuries, they're necessities in there, and uh, it's just that entrepreneurs and business owners or founders, they for them it's essential. It's a kind of survival mechanism, not even for thriving but for surviving, because after a certain point of time, and the scariest part is that they wouldn't even realize it, but burnout will creep in. I mean, productivity will be hit, and all of these will be manifested physically. So that's where the kind of it gets into a rabbit hole in there.
100%. The thing with the journey into the hole of despair is you don't see it coming. You know, you really don't see it coming. You start out and you're like, okay, and every day you just go a little bit further into the hole. Yeah, and then at some point you get to the point and you're looking up from the bottom of this hole and you're like, how did I get here? Right? Yeah, it's life just happens to you, and suddenly you're like, "Oh my word, this is terrible. I can't get out of it." And yeah, that's because we let go of the self care. We don't love ourselves as much as we should. You know, we think we have this baby that we've created, i.e., our company, right? And we lavish everything on the baby, on the company, and this actually, yeah, for a lot of people, 70% of people, yeah, in the business owners in the world are close to or, yeah, or have suffered some element of burnout. That's 70%. Right, and wasn't that's just such an a crazy kind of statistic. Yeah, and, but business owners are amazing. They are the best people out there. I love them. They are just they see a problem in the world, right? They see a problem in the world, yeah, and I can actually help fix that problem for people. And they go out and they have belief in themselves, they have confidence, and they go out and they solve that problem, right? And yeah, for that person who's doing such a service to humanity, to step forward and get to a point where they don't even want to exist anymore, I think that's just, that's sacrilege. We need to, and that's what my mission is. My mission is to take people, on a journey where they can love, really love the life they live. Right. Yeah. We talk about you said beforehand. Yeah. Oh well, we don't have time and luxury and great. Great. In the last 3 years, okay, I've been to 35 different countries. I free dived under the ice in Finland. I free dived in between the continental plates in Iceland. I've free dived in Mexico and the cenotes. I've skydived, over Italy. Yeah, and I've actually had the most amazing time. And all of that while running my company, running 4 different companies. I run 4 companies at the moment, all the power and 3 IT companies in London. So this stuff is all possible, right? And that's the hope that I want to give people. You need to your company needs to serve you, not the other way around. And in order to do that, you need to know all the tools and all the shortcuts to get there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you really brought forth a very, very important aspect in here. And my next question is definitely on the ice free diving. Um, it's definitely an extreme practice. And um, what do these intense experiences they teach us about the mind body connection that we can apply in everyday mindful living in there? Joy.
I do the things that I do for a reason that people don't necessarily see at face value. I jump out of airplanes and I do ice bath and the various other things because that gives me a moment of total clarity and being present, right? And the ice bath, I've done hundreds of ice baths, even probably thousands by now. Yeah, and being a Wim Hof instructor, I take people through it. And when you do something really difficult in your day, then the rest of the day is a little bit easier, right? And the thing with the ice baths, I'm gonna be doing an ice bath after this, and I go downstairs and I look at the thing, and I'm like, I don't want to do this every single time, right? I don't want to do it. Yeah, and then I get in and understanding the physiology of it, understanding the power of how your body actually takes you into shock. Your body then says, "Right, I need to be the best version of myself now," and it gets rid of all the stuff you don't need, including the emotions, right? And you come out and you are just alive, and you're ready for the day. And in that space, in that 5 minutes I'm sitting on the ice, I actually have total clarity and I have to be present and I have to be in the moment. And for me, this is where people say, "Oh, you're an extreme sport person." And yes, I am. But I don't do it for the reason that people think. I do it because it gives me clarity, it gives me presence. And it just frees me from the past and the future.
That's a very, very honest answer. Right, very honest answer. I mean, h- so many times, especially, and this is not for just from an entrepreneurial perspective, but as people, so many times when we sometimes do things out of our comfort zone, our mind always, kind of gets us into that protective mode that, oh my goodness, I do not want to do this. We try to procrastinate, we try to sleep on it. Okay, we will do it later. I'm really scared. I'm really anxious. This is something that is not, in my forte. We tend to have all these thoughts. But once we take the action and we kind of get into that, then, I have really, really experienced this. Our brain then tries to figure out, uh, our body, everything, like, comes into that sync. And we try to find the answers. We try to find solutions in there. We try to improvise. I think this is natural. This is the beauty of our mind body. And I think that's a very, very honest, kind of description that you shared, Rod.
And I think, as we go through this journey of life and we go through this journey of discovery, we have to remember to enjoy the journey, right? And yeah, I'm just on such an amazing journey at the moment. And I started off when I first started doing the breath work. I was 48 years old, and I've never felt as peaceful, and as present and grounded as I was with breath work. And then obviously I went on to the cold exposure. Yeah, and then after I did my level 2 with Wim Hof, the instructor, course, I then started doing Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation, and that took me on another part of the journey. Yeah, and I did breath work with potato breathing, I did breath work with pranayama, so I'm an instructor for all these things. I just we love learning as entrepreneurs, I find, and we keep on learning, and now I'm on a different part of my journey. I use those things every day. Yeah, and this weekend I took part in a plant medicine ceremony, where I'm just trying to get really deep into my own traumas and my own history, and just understanding how my energy works. And this I'm doing this when people look at this from the outside, they're like, actually, but aren't you an entrepreneur? And I can be both, right? I can be present in my mind. I can love the people that I love. I can live the life that I want to live. And I can help people with my business and help them push them forward, right? It's not a either or. Yeah, you can have it all, but you just need to know how to put it all together so it makes sense for you.
Yeah, yeah. I really love that. We can have it all. It's just we need to make a sense of how to put everything in sync in there. Um, and you know, I think it's such a relief for listeners. I think it's not about extremes. Once again, it all comes down to presence, to show up for ourselves, our loved ones. Um, you know, not maybe uh, a nice free diving or uh, you know bungee jumping or anything, but just a mindful walk outside can open up that space. So that's really good to know, Roy. And before we wrap up, um, of course, if our listeners they would like to connect with you and they would want to get started with this, what should be the easiest way?
Well, if you go onto my website of www.atpbos.com, yeah, there's a survey on there. There's a little survey which is a freedom score, which allows you to just see where you are in your journey, right? And we look at things like your wellness, we look at things like your understanding of AI, and then we look at where you are in your journey, and just give some useful tips and tricks to understand what that looks like. And so have a look there, and just otherwise, reach out to me. Get me on LinkedIn, get me on social media, get me on any of these places. I'm always so happy to talk to people about this because I just think it's so, so important. My mission, as I said, is to help business owners live the life they love. Yeah, and I have a system that I use. Yeah, I have a system that I teach. Myself and my other coaches teach this, and it works. I have people coming to me after 6 weeks and saying, "All right, I've just had the very best, a month worth of revenue," and they can't work out why because they're less stressed, they're less, the less things that are going wrong. Their physical pains are all going away, Yeah, and the business is working better. Funny that, right? It's just such a, yeah, a synchronicity in all this.
Yeah. Mm. Brilliant. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes, Roy, for our listeners, easy reference. And um, I must really, really thank you because this has been such a candid conversation. Um, your journey and then your experiences, lived experiences, and then, the hope and the practical positivity that you are providing here. Whether it's facing down icy waters or navigating business storms, I think the true edge comes from within, and you have really shown us. So, thank you so much, Roy. This was really, really much needed.
Thank you very much. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all the listeners, as we wrap up, I want you to sit with this thought. The business you are building or anything you are doing, it will be only as strong as the mind and body running it. Meditation and self care aren't about escaping the grind, they are about equipping yourself to lead it with clarity and resilience. So, to everyone listening today, maybe the takeaway isn't your next growth hack, but your next deep breath. So, thank you to everyone for joining this episode of The Mindful Living, where we talk about presence. Until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.